Listen what he says. He said, power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own.
Air It Out Podcast, the hottest podcast in Louisiana, y'all. Air It Out, man. Y'all gotta get me on the podcast. Air It Out Podcast, Shreveport, Louisiana. Hey, man. Air It Out Podcast, check it out, my nigga. Audio, check it out. Fuck with them. Fuck with me. Yo, what's up? This is your main man, Slink Johnson, tapping in with you one time for the one time. And right now, you watching the Air It Out Podcast, man.
It's your boy Pac Man, the Hood's voice box, you know what I'm talking about. And we got another episode of Air It Out with Pac Man. And this is going to be on the segment of politics with Pac Man. And we have the brilliant, the most prestigious, somebody who's been in the fight for a long time. You know what I'm talking about. This is a man that I would, and I don't say this about a lot of people, I would say I look up to, because, you know, when it comes to looking up to somebody, then you know that person has to have certain qualities, and there are things that come along with that for me that just disqualify a whole lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But integrity is one of those things that I take that is very serious to me when it comes to saying I look up to a person, saying I would consider this person to mentor me in any way, shape, or form. And I've seen you show integrity. I've seen you show consistency. You've never wavered on what you feel is your morals and beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you all the time, I say, well, why don't you just run Democrat? Man, you know you can get these votes.
Yeah.
You would just run Democrat.
Yeah.
And you have a reasoning behind that.
Yeah.
Why you want to do that, we'll get into that as well. This is my introduction of you from my standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you care to introduce yourself from your own perspective?
Well, I am Craig Lee, native of Shreveport, and like you said, 31-year veteran of this corporate grassroots empowerment work here in the city of Shreveport. Total of 40 years. If you go back to my freshman year in New Orleans at Xavier University, where I was the understudy for Mark Morial, who at the time was my first political advisor, so to speak, who was the president of the National Urban League. And so graduate of Xavier University, graduate of Fair Park High School, from Lakeside, from Queensboro. And I've been back here now this is my 32nd year once I was relocated back here from Atlanta as a pharmaceutical sales rep. And I left corporate America in 1995 to start doing this work. And like you said, it has been a process of having to be very focused and disciplined. And ironically, my ex-wife, shout out to Chastity, Chastity Kennedy up in Bastrop, Louisiana, she would always say, man, how in the world do you do this for over 30 years dealing with these Negroes in Shreveport. I said, bro, probably if I wasn't born to do this and I didn't have that commitment level, I probably would have wavered. Because it's tough representing our people, man. I mean, it's tough representing, and you and MJ are finding that out. Y'all are finding that out now. People will lie on you, just come up with anything. And so, but it's a commitment, because if the most devastating thing I have to worry about is Negroes lying, I can handle that, because our ancestors had to work from sunup to sundown for no pay, under the constant threat of being raped, beat, and murdered every day. Mm-hmm. So if I got to be lied on, and most of these people I've never even met, and it's just hearsay for the most part. I mean, I'm copacetic with it, but I am committed to doing this work, because I have a different vested interest in Shreveport than most people, because my uncle, Giles D. Moore, who was the founder of Moorestown, AKA Moortown, AKA Motown, to know that my great-great-grandfather's brother, Philip Moore, my great-great-grandfather out of Wascom, Texas, to know that his brother, my great-great-uncle, is the founder of one of the 200 plus Black townships in America that started to come into reality in 1864, from 1864 to 1954, bro, that gives me a whole different perspective on this. So I have a different way and a different commitment than most people would actually do. So between that and his connection with CeCe Antoine, my commitment level is unwavering. So I'm gonna die doing this work. And I'll tell you this in closing with this intro, Robert, when I was made the decision that I wasn't going back into corporate and I was gonna stay in the Shreveport in 1995, I read this quote from Martin Luther King. And Martin Luther King said, "A man who is not willing to die for something ain't fit to live." And that was when I asked myself, Craig, what are you willing to die for? Because you see Negroes willing to die for money, status, materialism, sex, foolery, all kind of stuff. I asked myself, that was the first time I ever asked myself, what was I willing to die for? And then it became crystal clear. I'm willing to die for the same things that the great freedom fighters before me, Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Presser, Paul Cuff, Marcus Garvey, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Malcolm X were willing to die for. And that was the liberation, protection, security, empowerment, and advancement of Black people. And so from that's where my commitment level lies. And now we can see some with you and MJ and Best 13, Tasha and Helen and Shima and Joe and y'all's other members. I can see light at the end of the tunnel. And so it's been a good ride.
And it's crazy because although I do see that same traction, right? I see us starting to gain the minds of a lot of people who otherwise, weren't interested or, have no interest in this field. I feel like we're laying the groundwork for something that I may never get to actualize in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is that L word you said up in there, liberation, where Black people are really free, because a lot of people, I don't think they really understand what freedom is.
Nah, they don't. They don't. Yeah, they don't. So, they don't.
Fighting for something for people and they don't know what it is, that becomes so it becomes hard in the sense that these same people you're fighting for, as you were speaking towards, they sometimes fight against you.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
for fighting for them.
Exactly.
So what's all this here that's on the table? What we got here going on?
So last night I unveiled my Port City $1 billion plan that's a part of the process of liberating our people here in the city of Shreveport, because being in a capitalistic system, and this is the piece that a lot of grassroots activists, advocates, lobbyists in the past did not really understand. Being in a capitalistic system, you still have to maneuver initially by the rules of engagement that have been established in the system, no matter how messed up they are. And we've had people to fight to clean up some of it, but regardless of how messed up it is, we're still in a capitalistic system. So to everybody out there watching this, no matter who you want to help impact, you still have to be able to generate revenues and profits in order to fund whatever business venture you're trying to do, whatever program, project, or event that you're trying to do. And so last night, it dawned on me. I said, you know what? And I've been learning to do this over the past 20 years, speak it in more metaphor, more allegory, more parables that are relatable to the people.
Like Jesus.
Exactly. Because now I understand why you got to do that. Mm-hmm. Because this stuff is very, very complex. So yesterday I said, how can I really convey the complexity of the philosophy, the system, and the game of capitalistic white supremacy to our people so that they can really start to see how intricate and complex it really is. And so the creators say, just go ahead and show them through the games that are being played every single day. And so what we have, starting on that end, we have a jigsaw puzzle. And I brought the jigsaw puzzle yesterday to show people that this whole thing, like if you've seen the movie The Matrix, this whole thing is a matrix, right? Well, the big matrix, the jigsaw puzzle matrix, is that which is universal. It's natural. That's the creator's deal. This is a whole big jigsaw puzzle. Nature, people, animals, the environment. So it's a whole big jigsaw puzzle. So that's the full scale of everything. That's the macro.
So all the things that go into making the world the world.
Exactly. Look at that puzzle. Get that puzzle right quick. You see, now think about that. Look at all that. That's a collage. Mm-hmm. And you see all of those different things that fit into that? You see animals, you see city, you see water, you see ships. See, that's the creator's matrix. Mm-hmm. That's the world. So it's a puzzle. Mm-hmm. And not one piece makes the puzzle.
Right.
That's 1,000 pieces. Yeah. So you got to figure out the pieces of the puzzle. So, coming up, people would say Christianity, that's the piece. Oh, it's just a piece of a puzzle. Most people would believe that's the piece. That's the only thing you need.
That's one piece in 1,000 pieces.
That's one piece in 1,000 pieces. Islam, one piece in 1,000 pieces. Hinduism, Buddhism, free enterprise. Everything has a particular piece that you have to work to put the puzzle together, okay? So that's the creator's deal right there. Now, inside of the puzzle, here's a piece here which describes the system and the game that we're in, and that's capitalism.
In America.
In America, and in Europe, and in most of the world. Yeah, the capitalistic society that we're in. And if you've never done this, and I know most people haven't, You can fact check anything that I bring to the table. I want you to go Google the game of Monopoly. A white lady created that game. A white lady created that game in order to teach. It was actually called the landlord's game. And she created the game to teach common people about the philosophy, system, and game of capitalism.
Let me ask real quick. Do you believe, because when you said that, it made me think, that's why I'm looking like this. Has capitalism taken over the entire world?
For the most part, it has, yes. I mean, the answer is yes. Regardless of whether you see a socialistic system or communistic system, capitalism has engulfed the entire world. And most grassroots activists and advocates rebel against the system of capitalism. Now, I remember a sister I used to date when the first time we talked, she said, down with capitalism, da 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 da. And I said, sister, you can't really say that. And she said, hell with capitalism. Ooh. And I said, sister, you can't really say that. And she said, how you gonna say that? I say, because at the center of capitalism is the African economic and political system of free enterprise. See, what the melanin deficient, pale skin oppressors of ours have done, they've taken our system called free enterprise, meaning you produce a product or service to go sell. Our people, African people, were the original business people of the planet Earth. We're the original marketers. We're the original everything from that standpoint. So when they talk about Mansa Musa and these particular things, we started this whole business thing. We started this whole commerce thing throughout the globe. The Europeans took that concept and put it in this concept of capitalism, which now brings in white supremacy as their philosophy and racism. And so it wraps around free enterprise to give the illusion that it's a system of, you get up, produce something, and you go on and make it happen. But that's not what it is. They create a system where they want to monopolize in every industry. Mm-hmm. And so, although they have a diabolical way of maneuvering, and you can see it right now, because they want to buy up as many corporations as possible and consolidate them into just a few corporations. You feel me?
Yeah, so they basically, they control they're gonna control the price, they're gonna control how much. Everything about it, because if there's no competition for it.
Ain't no look, Brian, that's how you eliminate the competition, gobble them up. Mm-hmm. You monopolize. Mm-hmm. So if you can control the complete supply chain of a product or service, you got the people. Mm-hmm. Now they gotta come to you. And so they just become consumers versus producers. Mm. And if you're not a producer, there's no way you're gonna be able to be respected in this particular game. So free enterprise is our thing, but we've gotten away from it due to chattel slavery. And after chattel slavery ended on paper in January 31st, 1865, our people, because of segregation, we were forced to get back into free enterprise. That's where the 200 plus Black townships were created. And we were maneuvering up and until some of our people wanted to be, those so-called nonviolent civil rights leaders, which we'll get into that, but they wanted to go to school with their oppressor. They wanted to stay in the neighborhoods with their oppressor. They wanted to be a part of them. So now they started boycotting to get into the mix with them. And so 1964 Civil Rights Act is passed. The 1965 Voting Rights Act is passed. 68 Housing Rights Act is passed. And 2 years later, this thing called pseudo-integration. It ain't really integration, but pseudo-integration happens. And Robert, from that point up until now, and it's only been 56 years. I was born in 1967, so I'll be 59 this year. Pseudo-integration has only been around for 56 years. We have gone backwards in terms of our economic vitality. Because now the money is no longer consolidated in our community.
Yeah, we gave it away.
We gladly give it away. So now people like to say, oh, the black disposable income is $2 trillion a year. But Robert, less than 3% of that is spent with ourselves. So that's why black businesses are not viable as it relates to our other ethnic counterparts. So we got to start to understand these particular games. So monopoly. So we start with the creator's matrix, the jigsaw puzzle, which now we deal with the economic and political system and game of monopoly through capitalistic white supremacy that's going on. And so now, so that's the money, that's the real estate, that's everything in there. It teaches you all of it.
So roughly, if you could give me a percentage, monopoly, what percentage of that would be part of the jigsaw puzzle?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I would say it is a third. I would say a third, 33%. But in the mind of a slave, it's everything.
Right.
In the mind of a slave, it's everything. But for an enlightened person and the creator, it's about a third. Because it controls the facet of people's lives, everyday existence. Mm-hmm. And in order to really gain freedom, you have to do your best to detach from that. And the only way you can really do it is to generate money in the system in order to create another system that is not dependent on money, status, and materialism. Okay. So then that brings us to this very complex game called chess. And so you see this game, and a lot of people would say this is the game of life, but it really isn't. It's the game of strategy. It's the game of tactics, strategy, tactics. It's the game of warfare. And you gotta know this is what they're playing, and they're moving pawns. This is pawn, okay? This is castle, right? This is castle. This is a knight. This is a bishop. This is a queen. And this is king. And you have the same players on both sides of royalty. This is the back row. They control the front row. And you have everything going on simultaneously with the white pieces. And that's what's so ironic about the game. White always moves first. Now, but this game was created in Africa. Chess was created in Africa. So, but you gotta learn the rules of engagement so that you can know how to navigate inside of what? The game of capitalism. the system and game of capitalism, okay? And you gotta learn this so you can now get to the other 2/3 of the real matrix, the puzzle that's there that the creators, if this is all in your world, you ain't gonna never figure it out. You ain't never figure it out. Dominoes. Dominoes is really the game of life. And why is dominoes the game of life? Because when you turn over these bones, there's 28 of them. You turn over these bones, you turn these over, and you begin this game, and you shuffle, you don't know what you're gonna get. But Robert, whatever you get, you gotta play that hand. See, this game of chess assumes something about life that ain't true.
It's too fair.
Exactly, and that ain't life. Dominoes is life. Because whatever you pick up, you gotta learn how to play. You gotta formulate offensive and defensive strategy and maneuver. And it's a game that you deal with percentage. Both of these games have rules, but even if you're not that good in dominoes, when you shuffle them up, the creator is gonna give you an opportunity to advance yourself based on the hand that you pull. In this game, even though it's perceptively fair, if you don't know how to maneuver the pieces and you can't think and you're not a strategist, you'll never win this game. It's impossible. Because each chess piece has a move. On the first move, a pawn can only move 1 to 2 spaces forward. Can't move diagonally, can't move like that, can't move horizontal, it has to move straight vertical. 1 to 2 spaces. You can only take an entity at an angle. You cannot jump a piece that's in front of you there. This piece here, the castle, moves in an L, up and down and across. Up, down, and across. Up, down, and across. This piece here moves in an L. Boom, 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. It can go 1, 2, 3. Any direction in an L. This piece here moves in an angle on the color that it's on. This is considered to be the most powerful piece, the queen, because the queen can move in any direction. But she's not the most powerful piece because the king is the mastermind for the whole board. So even if you're a female, you have to learn how to think as who? A king, while functioning as a queen. Dominoes, again, when you shuffle these bones up and you pick your hand up, you gotta play that no matter what, whether it's 7 or 9 that you're playing the game, all right? And then lastly, this is ping pong. Why do I have ping pong ball? Because this represents the Republicans and the Democratic system that we're in. Both of those political parties, ping pong, hit the ball. This represents the people. And they hit us back and forth because our people never learn the games, the system, the game of capitalistic white supremacy and racism. So it's my job to now teach our people how to navigate these various games inside of the jigsaw puzzle so that they can really learn how to tap in to what we just said may not be attainable in our lifetime, but the liberation, protection, security, advancement, empowerment, advancement of our people. And that's why I brought these today.
So again, the ball would represent the people.
Yeah. And the people are being ping pong back and forth over the net.
To basically get they're working together.
They work together. The Democrats and Republicans are 2 wings of the same bird. Mm-hmm. They're 2 sides of the same coin. They're 2 sides of the same dollar. The only way that we can win in this game, and it's crazy that no one has ever figured this out, but now I just made a post the other day that the NAACP in 1926 figured out that both parties were trash.
Right.
But they were never able to gain an understanding as to how you function in that type of a system. And I'm telling you, I just heard a guy before I came over here, he's from Harvard, and he talks about strategies of debate. And he was on a podcast with Stephen A. Smith, and he doesn't even understand. So he was trying to explain and excuse why our people vote 90-some% Democrat. There is no excuse at this stage. I could understand why we rolled Republican initially. I understand that because coming out of slavery, that was the party that perceptively granted us physical freedom. Although the premise is it was the party, it was just a faction in the party that led to that. It wasn't all Republicans. And we know this to be true because the deal was cut between the North and the South to allow the South to come back in the power in the South, which is why Reconstruction was ended when it was ended, and it only lasted for 11 years.
And I know that President Lincoln said, if I didn't have to do this,
exactly,
I wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't do it. His thing was to save the Union.
Yeah.
It wasn't to free us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was such a profound thing. And I get it. Our people, I mean, we have been in chattel slavery for 15 generations, right? Mm-hmm. So it goes back to like my good partner, Curtis Davis. He was incarcerated for 26 years in Angola for second-degree murder. And it finally started to look like he was gonna come out, but they made him cop a plea. And I said, man, you were gonna eventually get out. He said, Craig, when you've been locked up for 26 years, the first opportunity that you can use to go free, that's what you're gonna do. So, and I say, you know what? I respect that. Because it's easy for me to say this. And I ain't been in no Angola for no 26 years, especially for a crime I didn't commit. Because you typically, you'll probably go crazy. So that's how I kind of look at the situation with our people. So they went gung-ho for the Republican Party. But they were racist too. So that's why this narrative that people are floating on the internet, oh, the Republican Party, they freed you Negroes. But it was all game. It was nothing but game. And it's so interesting because I grew up, the church I grew up in out in Longwood, Louisiana, which is the oldest African-American church in Caddo Parish. Guess what the name of it is? Republican Baptist Church.
That's funny.
Republican Baptist Church.
Because even the emancipation, if I remember, even the voting on that, it wasn't like one party just voted this way and the other party voted that way. It was more so like you had Republicans that voted along, and you had Democrats that voted along. You had Republicans that voted against it.
Yeah, exactly.
You had Democrats that voted against it.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it wasn't even a situation to where like our politics look today, to where now you see votes in the Democratic Party is here and the Republican Party is here. It was more diverse in terms of you were allowed to have a stance that didn't necessarily come from the leader, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if Donald Trump say this is what we want, this is how the Republicans vote today. that wasn't the case.
Yeah, that wasn't good. There were more people, but people were, although they were white supremacists, racists, in both parties, the people were the white males were more well read, and they were more convicted, especially those who were on the abolitionist side of the equation. And so the fear factor wasn't as it is now. And so you're absolutely correct. But my point of always saying that to people, don't ever get this thing tangled and twisted. Both sides were racist. And so what ends up happening, the Republican Party, to cut a deal, so I think it was Rutherford B. Hayes became the president. So for him to become the president, they pulled back the troops. So in essence, in the South, things went back to the way they were almost during chattel slavery. Mm-hmm. So now you get your black codes and all of those particular things. And so the progress that had been made over those 11 years from 1866 to 1877, you started to go in reverse. And so our people really just don't comprehend the history. And so that's where the ping pong ball and the paddles come into play, because both of these entities are playing us like fools. And the only way, and I didn't come up with this on my own, and I'm just looking at it as I'm looking at the paddles, the only way that we can now win in this game, we gotta flip the paddles. When we flip the paddle, what color is that, Robert? We gotta flip the color, the paddles, the system, the game to black. But you gotta go through this process first. You can't hope about it, you can't pray about it, you gotta roll your sleeves up and get in the game. Because evil people are not gonna stop being evil just because you hope and pray. You gotta get in the game.
Because like, in to speak to what you're saying about the Republican and the Democratic Party, because I've been an independent. I think I've probably been an independent my entire childhood.
That's good.
Both parties are funded essentially by the same.
Exactly.
Entities. The donors,
exactly.
The Republican Party are pretty much the same donors as the Democratic Party. There's a political party, what it is, that like a lobby group, a PAC.
A PAC, okay.
Called APAC.
Yeah, APAC, yeah.
And they brag on their website that
exactly.
They control almost 90% of the Congress. And they didn't say 98% of Republicans or 98% of Democrats. They say 98% of the entire
exactly.
Congress. So with that said, that goes to show you if the Republicans are answering to their donors, and APAC is one of their top donors. And the Democratic Party are answering to their donors, and APAC is some of their top donors. Well, you getting messaging from the
same thing, and so you just create the illusion, because it's the chess game. You create the illusion that there's really competition when there's not, and you hit the ball back and forth. Oh, Democrats, oh, Republicans. And you're just moving them, because on each part, all of us are being played as pawns. All of us are being played. Now, but interestingly enough, there's only one piece out of all of the pieces on this board that if that piece learns the rules of engagement, that piece can elevate from the grassroots into a position of royalty and power. And that piece is a pawn. You say, wait a minute, Craig, I thought they could only move one space at a time, and they can't do this. That's right. But strategically, if I now am able to, let's just say here, knock out these pieces, and I'm able to advance that piece up there, that piece now becomes a black queen. But in order for me to now get to that back row, I got to learn this. That's how I created the concept of corporate grassroots revolutionary. Because these are grassroots people. But they got to learn how to play the corporate game. Because these people, these entities are not going to move out of your way. They're going to block you and they're going to look to destroy you. So it's up to these entities. So the royalty, like this is a bishop. This represents the clergy. They move at angles. So I can only move that piece at an angle on the black spaces. This piece moves on the white spaces at an angle, okay? And so none of these pieces, these three pieces, none of them can become a queen or a king. Only the pawn can become royalty. But you got to go through the toxic waters.
So these grassroots people have to essentially work alongside, and not everybody, but the majority of the evil people. So
the bourgeoisie, evil folks, yeah.
Yeah. And somehow, if they're able to make it into the corporate world,
yeah,
then they can really make a difference.
They can really make a difference. Because you still got to have the money, status, and materialism in order to create the programs, projects, and events. See, that's what the Black Panthers didn't understand. That's what the Lowndes County people didn't understand. So they thought by saying down with capitalism and let's do socialism, communism, that was going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference because all governments, and I want people to hear me, whether you're talking about the local, state, federal, national level or international level, all governments, Robert, are made up of people. All governments are made up of people. So when people say the government, who's the government? The government is people. Now, what people? Most of the people who are in leadership positions in government, whether they be elected, appointed, or they're just working, these are evil people. That's just a fact. The people who work are the employees. The majority of them are good people, but they are afraid, so they're co-opted in the evil because they're trying to protect what? Their job. And so they're taking care of their family. So you can't even really be real mad at them because that's the game that has been set up through what? The monopoly.
Yeah, they like the front man. They the one to take the fall.
They take the fall. Yeah. And so I had to figure out once I left corporate America, which most people will never be exposed to, and this is why you get so much. I remember when the same thing I'm teaching y'all with Best 13, I tried to teach multiple entities. Ooh, I think that dude's scamming. I think that dude running us. I'm sure the same thing I'm teaching y'all is what I tried to teach people way before y'all came along. And it was the same thing. And it's like, how in the hell do you make these people understand you gotta get this corporate game? Because they not gonna get, you can beg all you want to. You can scream all you want to. Bruh, if you don't learn this, ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Because, and it's just to piggyback off you, because essentially what you're saying is, Robert Bruchon how do I compete with a Walton? How can I compete with the messaging of somebody who owns Walmart and have trillions of dollars at their expense, and they can make anything and anybody look or sound however they want it to sound or look like.
Exactly.
Or any issue look and sound like they want it to, how they want it to be. And don't get it, and don't mix this up, that Walton, they got friends
Exactly.
that got the same money that they got.
What's that song that rapper got? What's his name? He's in Atlanta. I think it's 2 Chainz. Bands to make you dance.
Yeah.
They got bands to make you dance. They got bands to make you dance, man. Hey, you better believe people gonna
dance.
That's just the reality.
People that look like us gonna dance.
They gonna dance. I'm telling you, they gonna dance, bro. They gonna dance. Mm-hmm. Bro, you got to be on a whole different level from an ethical, moral standpoint. And that means spirituality and culture has to be your foundation. Because see, in 1998, that was the first time that the white folks offered me some hundreds of thousands to sell these Negroes out. And hell, I was just 3 years out of corporate America at that point. I left when I was 28, corporate America when I was 28 in 1995. So I was 31. Mm-hmm. I was 31. And the first offer came in 1998 when we were supporting Larry English for mayor. And some entities from some of our melanin deficient citizenry offered me money to sell out Larry English, and I didn't do it. And then when I started representing the interests of the contractors with the Minority Contractor Association in 1998, as we were fighting for fair share in those millions of dollars of contracts, I became so effective that they offered me money then. And I told the black contractors, I said, now look, I'm gonna do this work for you all the first year pro bono. I said, but now after that, because I'm gonna show you all what can happen if we get you all on point. And man, I put about 300 to 500 hours, maybe 600 hours of time into doing this statistical analysis. And I'm gonna send it to you so you can see it. But it came out in a report I did called the Ma'afa Chronicle. And I showed the statistical analysis of Shreveport's contract procurement program in the area of purchasing, in the area of payments, how this fraudulent stuff was going on. And so we had a meeting at my good partner, Mr. Jerry Thomas's office, T&M Fence Common, what is it? Yeah, T&M Fence Company. He's now deceased, creative blessings. So, and we're going to the second year now. They've been getting money. And so I'm telling them, the next year you're gonna have to subsidize what I do now, $70,000, because I'm showing you that you're getting contracts. And 2 individuals who had met with the White General Contractors Association, and one of them is deceased now, Mr. Lott. They came back from this meeting. He and his other brother came back from this meeting, and they said, "Craig, great news, great news. The AGC wants to give you some money." Now, the AGC is Association of General Contractors. Team White. So I'm representing Team Black, so I thought. And so they said they want to give you money. I said, well, I can't accept any money from them. They say, that's what we want. No. I'm advocating and lobbying for you. I'm not advocating and lobbying for them. So why would they want to give me money? That's a trap. So I can't do that. So Mr. Lott said, well, they said you need to calm down. You need to do this. You need to do that. I said, well, are you all getting contracts? Yeah. I said, but what? I said, there is no but. This has to go down. So Mr. Lott says, well, if you don't calm down, we might not fund you. I said, that's your right. I said, that's good. I said, but I wanna be very clear. Anybody who does not fund the work that I'm doing, and I'm helping you all in this game, that game, and this game. Anybody who does not pay their way, I ain't gonna pray for you. I say, when the political pendulum swings in the direction of the Black community, and I'm gonna be the one swinging it, I said, I don't care if I gotta go to Alaska to find an a qualified African-American firm to come set up shop in Shreveport. That's what we gonna do. Cause it ain't gonna be no sitting under no shade tree and on the sidelines while I'm risking my life doing all of this, because I knew that they couldn't get out there. Because if they got out there, they'll lose their contract. Mm-hmm. And the mayor at that time, Keith Hightower, he was calling around, how in the hell is he surviving? Like, where's he getting this money from? They could never figure it out. So you gotta know how to maneuver in this game of monopoly, in this system and this game, so that you can really represent the interests of Team Black.
And let me show you, I'm finna show you how things ain't changed that much. In Best 13, when we were trying to grow as a board, we reached. Well, I don't know if he reached out to us or we reached out to him. I believe he reached out to us though. It's this guy named Frederick Washington, and he was interested in being a board member and having a meeting, and basically he was very adamant about us having a white, rich board member. He was saying that in order to the strict word he would use was diversify. This is Black economic and social transformation.
Exactly.
But anyway, he wants to diversify that for some reason. And what he wanted to diversify with was a white, rich board member. So I come right up. I say, well, no, I don't think that's a good idea. I've seen that in the past. I've read plenty of books on the the Black empowerment in their efforts in the 60s. And that was one of the very things that made people like Martin Luther King, because I don't think he was knowingly just hurting Black people.
I think he didn't know.
I think he was strict.
Yeah, he was.
And that type of thing is what tricks you.
Exactly.
So I'm like, no, I don't want that. Not only did he not become a board member at that point, he went on the attack. And still to this day, he tries to discredit.
I've seen it. And he'll throw so-called jabs out there with me. Let me show you something about that guy. So here's a guy who don't know what the hell he's talking about. That's number one. This guy has never been in corporate America. He, like so many other people, really believe that your status in this society is elevated by going and getting some degrees. And he got his basic degrees from LSU in Shreveport. And that's what's so funny. Dude, I graduated from Xavier University. I graduated from one of the most prestigious institutions in the world in 1989 with a BS in marketing economics. I've worked for 3 of the largest Fortune and Global 500 corporations in the world. Bell South Yellow Pages, which I was the first Black advertising consultant here in Shreveport history. Navistar Financial Corporation, which was my first job out of corporate America in 1989. Robert, I was 21 managing multi-million-dollar territory in Ku Klux Klan, Alabama, and then Tennessee. And then that's how I got back here and became the first Black advertising consultant with Bell South Yellow Pages, went to Atlanta, became municipal bond broker for a Wall Street firm called McLaughlin, Piven and Vogel. Then I became one of no more than 300 Black pharmaceutical sales reps in the entire world. And that's how I got back to Shreveport in 1994 as a pharmaceutical sales rep over North Louisiana and Southern Arkansas. This guy ain't never been in corporate America, period. He went to college here, got a degree at LSU, and he's rolling with the whole LGBTQRSPUT thing. So he believes that by getting a degree, and then I think he went and got his master's or doctorate, you do nothing. So he believes that he's an intellectual, and he isn't, right? So if you're an intellectual, show me some type of development that you've actually done. And he won't be able to do that. So he's been indoctrinated from a Eurocentric standpoint of believing that in order for Black folks to do anything, they gotta have white folks in the mix.
He just regurgitating.
He just regurgitating the information. And so I can show you straight up African-American infrastructure that's been created by themselves, okay? So no, you don't have to have a white board member on, within your realm. And so, but that's the mindset when you have people who are spiritually and culturally disconnected, detached from their origin. And so I've seen him call himself taking pot shots at me, and it's laughable because there's nothing that he's ever done. He ran for office here, I think once or twice before he got run out of town, and that's basically been his story. And so the premise is to read books and pretend like he's smarter than what he is, and that's how most of these cats operate. But show me, this is real simple. For people like Frederick Washington, when you look at this, because I know you'll eventually get it, this is real simple for you and any other Negro white supremacist, because that's what I call them now. Any other Negro white supremacist that's out there, because you never get on my level. I want you to show me your empowerment resume. I want you to show me your empowerment references. I want you to show me your empowerment receipts, and then show me your empowerment recipe, meaning your empowerment plan to help liberate, protect, secure, empower, and advance our people. I want to show it to them. They ain't gonna be able to do it.
Well, majority of the people that attack me, you, MJ, all of the people who really try to do the work out here, I've noticed that they don't have that.
No.
They do a lot of this, but so I give you an example. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and basically they was like, well, you tell me, what have y'all done in the city to help Black people? I say, well, okay, well, if you give me a chance to talk, I'll let you know a couple things. So when I first began, I say, well, I tell you, you do know that we're a part of bringing one of the first Black-owned schools to Shreveport, Louisiana, orphan training.
Exactly.
So y'all stand on side of people that did big stuff. This is one of our this is our board.
Yeah, they board members.
I said, okay, well, I see what this is. No matter what I say.
Yeah, it's not gonna matter.
Yeah,
Man.
it's not gonna matter. So I'm just gonna end this conversation here and I'll let you be. It's some more things to see that, but I pay no attention to. But I see that becomes repetitious.
Yeah, because they have to undermine you guys because of their inactivity and the fact that most of them are Negro white supremacists. They help Team White advance their agenda on the chessboard in the capitalistic game of monopoly. And so these people, let me put it to you like this. Football. I told you I got to talk in parables. If this is a football team, and there are 11 members on a football team, offense, defense, special teams, but let's say we're on defense. Team White is on offense. In order for the defense to disrupt or stop the play while Team White is on offense, you got to either sack the quarterback, tackle the running back, tackle the wide receiver, tackle the tight end, but preferably, especially if it is a passing play, you want to sack the quarterback. How do you sack the quarterback, Robert? If we're Team Black, how do we get to sack the quarterback?
You gotta go through.
We gotta go through where?
The line.
The line! Let me show you something, y'all. Y'all better check this out. This is the first time you ever seen this in world history. What Team White does.
That's good. That's good.
They get to grab people at the grassroots to block. They get them to block.
So you saying they may pay certain people to, be against things like the data center?
All kinds of stuff. You give them a job, they'll do whatever. And so now, without any frontline protection, your royalty is exposed. Because these people ain't coming over here to now protect these black pieces. See, capitalism is a team competition. Whether the people understand it or not, it's a team competition. But they've gotten us into believing that you can win the game just by being here. No. See, you got to get on the board and get in the game.
But that's crazy because basically they've replaced their pawns with our pawns.
Exactly.
So those that they're for lack of a better term, the quote unquote white trash, they just out.
They out.
Out the way.
Yeah, they out the way.
And got all people taking the hits.
Exactly.
Where theirs would usually do that.
Exactly. So now they do that strategically. Stephen A. Smith, Candace Owens. You can just go down the line. Freddie Washington. You do that to create the illusion that racism and white supremacy don't exist. Because racism and white supremacy exist.
Black people.
That's why you got to know the difference. See, they look black, but they're just melanated. These are Negroes, and they're Negro white supremacists. See, unless you're fighting for the liberation, protection, security, empowerment, and advancement of African descendants in America and throughout, you're not black. You're just a Negro. You're melanated, same skin pigmentation, but your mind, your spirit, your soul leads your body to rolling here versus rolling here. That's how this game is played. And that's why I said I'm gonna start just teaching people from the board. I'm gonna start teaching them from the board. And so this is what goes on. And these individuals here, the pawns, for them, they benefit because then they can take a break. Yeah, they can take a break.
So let me ask you, does it do, because we, like you said, we can't expect evil people to just stop being evil.
Not gonna happen.
But does it benefit, let's just say the pawns, those white pawns, does it benefit them in any way, shape, or form to do the right thing?
Oh yeah, it would benefit them tremendously because if these pawns became enlightened and they came down here to work with an enlightened agenda with us, because we're the majority of the board anyway, now you can go after their royalty.
You got rid of that evil people.
Exactly.
And then things like what's going on with the Epstein.
Oh, it'll already be done. That would have been already solved. See what the power brokers, the architects, the engineers, and the managers of the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy, what they've done, they've given the power to the grassroots masses, to all the people on paper. This is a government of the people, for the people, by the people, on paper. But they strategically prevent that from happening by keeping the people disconnected, detached, distracted. Okay?
Yeah.
See, that's the game. So they got to keep you stupefied. They got to keep you ignorant. They got to keep you lazy. And one of the number one ways they do that is through entertainment, right? Then another way they do it is through drugs. Another way they do it is through, there you go. So you'll never focus your attention on the royalty. You see? Because see, the game is over when you trap the king. So if these white pawns join on this particular board with black pawns, they get knocked out automatically. Because the only way that they can survive is by tricking these pawns into believing they're on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not on the same team.
They part of this income inequality gap.
Exactly.
All this over here, they losing too.
That's why the European female who created the landlord's game created the game to show poor white folks how they were getting pimped and played. She didn't create the game for us. She created the game for them. So see, for white folks, it's an issue of classism, right? Mm-hmm. It's an issue of classism and inequity. For us, it's racism, classism, sexism, ageism. It's all the isms and schisms. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know that, these individuals can sell you on this and now, again, get you to come over here on the Democrat side. Oh no, we got the real solution on the Republican side, when both of them are, again, two wings of the same bird, two sides of the same coin, two sides of the same dollar.
So what president was that said if you give white people somebody to look down upon, then
that was Lyndon Johnson.
Okay, Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah, we get it. We'll have them Negroes vote for us forever.
Yeah, that's crazy. You can really get somebody to turn their pocketbook over by offering them the illusion.
That's what it is.
That they're better than somebody.
Exactly. I mean, because think about it. What else does someone who is uneducated, inept, incompetent have to offer the world other than the illusion of whiteness? When the reality is, if they knew the truth, that they were grafted, recessive byproducts of melanated people, they would probably kill themselves. So you sell them on the concept of whiteness, and that in and of itself.
Yeah, and that's kind of what kills me too. They don't understand. Like, okay, you go to Africa, you will find all of your extremes. You find the shortest people, the tallest people, the slowest people, the fastest people, the smartest people, the dumbest people. Whatever you want to look, you'll find all of your extremes because this is the motherhood of the earth.
Exactly.
Why don't you understand that due to extreme elements of climate, you move to a location, you were operating in caves, essentially. And due to that adaptation, you lost melanin.
Yeah, because they got a very small percentage in them. Yeah.
That's it. That's all. So you think due to that adaptation that makes you better?
Yeah, I mean that's what white supremacy is about, the philosophy of tricking them into believing that they are supreme.
And like you say, evil people. And this is why I don't think all white people are evil, but
Mhm.
I think a lot of them get tricked into it.
Mhm.
And this is what they fail to realize. Okay, you went and you had to live amongst scarcity. So you picked up habits that weren't that
Subhuman, savage.
Basically, essentially, they were savage. You came amongst people where it wasn't scarcity, it was fruitful, it was a lot. We had no reason to be savage with one another.
Yeah.
And you got them because they were ill prepared for evilness.
Yeah, they didn't understand.
That's the only reason. That's how you got us.
Yeah, they were able to trick them, and that's why it's so fascinating when I hear people talk about their sovereign, indigenous, and they want to hold ancestors in Africa more accountable for participating in the slave trade than the people who manipulated them into that process, because they had no idea that it was going to be what it was going to be. But then these same individuals don't hold the entities who raped, murdered, annihilated your ancestors accountable, and they're proud to say, I'm a Johnson, I'm a Tucker, no, that's not who you are. That is the European indoctrination of what has happened to you inside of this particular place called America. It is what it is. And so unless you are willing to go back in time, and the only way you could do that now is by research, study, analysis, and DNA. If you're not willing to do that, you're going to be stuck. Because look, the greatest definition I've ever heard for the word power comes from a phenomenal Black scholar by the name of Dr. Wade Nobles. Listen what he says. He said, power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own. Say that again. Power, Dr. Wade Nobles, power, the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own. I do a psychological experiment with people every day on social media, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And I purposely, Robert, use 95 to 99% of the time when I'm typing, I purposely use uppercase letters. 95 to 99% of my words are used that way. Why do I do that, Robert? In association to the definition I just said, power, I'm gonna say the definition again so you can get it. Power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own.
So you use uppercase letters because it makes it seem, well, I ain't gonna say makes it seem, but it seems important, stands out, like you're yelling at them almost.
That's what they believe. That's what they believe.
Right.
100% of the people gonna say, why you yelling? I said, who said I'm yelling?
I'm typing.
I'm typing. No, you're yelling. I said, why would I be yelling at you? Well, everybody knows that you're supposed to use lowercase letter. I say, who told you that? See, I use this experiment to show how easy it is to indoctrinate people. So then I show them this concept called creative license. Creative license. Well, what is that? Well, instead of using the word FAT to say I'm fat, i.e. in rap, so-called hip hop language terms, they use the word PHAT to not say that you're fat in size, but you're large and in charge in your life. Who told them they could do that? It's an experiment and it's just so fascinating and it perplexes people. I say, let me make sure I understand this. You're more invested in the fact that I'm using uppercase letters, but not the substance of the words. And I do it on purpose just to see who's gonna fall for the trick. I do it every single day. And so now your premise is you want to censor my ability to write and type words. So that's the same thing in terms of speech. So if I use an African term versus an American term, if I say instead of all is well or amen, which is an African term, that's another funny thing. People say African term at the end of all their prayers, but they say they're not Africans. But if I said ashe, all is well, man, why you use that African word? It is fascinating as to how the majority of our people have been so indoctrinated around the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own. Saturday, when we were at the voting workshop, the brother who came in from New Orleans said, man, I was asking the sister about where do I go for politics? And of course, this person didn't know. So he said, I met this guy named Craig Lee at this political event. And she said, Craig Lee, he been wearing that African stuff? And he said, yeah, he a good brother. Oh, he ain't worth a damn. He ain't even got no job.
Oh my God.
Brother. So now if I don't go around validating that I'm a former corporate person, if you don't see me in your corporate circle, I'm now what, less of value? Bro, this is what we're dealing with. So these entities will go over here to help Team White destroy us. Now, there was a point, Robert, when I first started this, man, if I heard something like that, and that's how people start getting afraid, I wouldn't like go and try to beat them up or nothing. But I'm like, where you get this from? Ooh. And the creator finally had to check me. The creator like, what's up with you? I'm fighting for the people. He said, bruh, this is part of the game. This is what slaves do. They don't know any better. So that's how I started making sure I do my work, I stay out the way. Do my work, stay out the way. Because it ain't nothing for these people to lie on you. And hell, most of these people who say they know me, they just aware of me based on reading about me in the newspaper or seeing me on the news. So, but I came to understand, oh, so they are taking on the thoughts, all of the negative, toxic, evil, demonic thoughts, behavior, conduct, and actions of Team White. And if you're not prepared to understand that, man, you might as well don't ever try to do this. And the one thing that gave me comfort is to see how they go at LeBron James. Like, damn. So I can't never say nothing. Because if these individuals are willing to do all of that, say all these derogatory things about a dude who married his childhood sweetheart, who has 3 children, upstanding family dude, built a school, got his partners all rich, you're still willing to sit up and even in your mind think that there's somebody greater ball player. Something is wrong with you. But in order to now elevate Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, they feel they gotta down him. LeBron is my favorite player, but I enjoy watching Kobe and watching Jordan. I just like the game of basketball. But these people become so invested in this, and I do psychological experiments even with that. Because if you're that invested in the castration of an individual's name and reputation, and you don't know this person.
Don't know.
What is that to say at the local level? They will try to destroy us. Mm-hmm. And this is the reality.
And I've had to come to terms with that as well, because one of the people that I'm around a lot, they would come back to me and they would say, well, such and such, and they told me this about you, and you know, and they know you, like, and I'm like, well, who was it? And they'll tell me, I say, they don't know me. I don't know. Like, I've probably been around this person once or twice in my life. Yeah, they don't get me wrong, they from Lakeside, but I'm not even from that part of Lakeside. Like, I don't be around there. And this person is like 7, 8 years younger than me. They never been around me like that. And you willing to take his word that he knows
it's
what
crazy.
He's saying without even consulting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
First. I'm like, that you need to learn from that, because if you're going to continue to be around me, I'm gonna need you to be stronger than
Yeah.
And I've seen that if that is effective on somebody, because you know me a little bit.
No, he's aware of you.
No, not that person, not the person that said.
Oh, okay.
The person that listened.
Okay.
You know me a little bit.
Yeah.
And you were willing to listen to this person
that
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, accept that those thoughts, like, without talking to me about it first, I just wonder what it do to people that don't know me.
You automatically gonna be eliminated. See, because that's a form of counterintelligence. That's COINTELPRO. That's how the government was able to eliminate and politically assassinate Malcolm, King, Garvey. That's how it's done. And so there's a point you have to keep a distance from a lot of that, because if people are around you too much or you're around them too much, And now the lies start to come. It's easy to manipulate people into believing that. They can say, yeah, I did such and such with Robert. I ain't even talked to you, but they may have seen you at the same venue that this person was at, and they can go and actually lie. And you can't stop it. That's why you have to be, people who do this work, got to be above reproach. You got to be ethically, morally structured. The integrity got to be there, as you talked about to begin this podcast segment. You got to be that, because it's going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen. And at the end of the day, resume, references, receipts, recipe. And if you're crazy enough to roll with something somebody said and you ain't consulted me, I got to let you have it. Because that now tells me where you're at. And for the most part, Robert, you really want that to happen before you make any money or anything like that, because to have people like that in your space, you do not want that whatsoever. But this is a part of the pathology of the Negro slave. And so when you're a truth teller, especially, and you're doing this work that now is going to hold our people accountable and responsible, they don't want to really deal with that. A lot of our people really want to be lied to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the case.
And that's somehow, I guess I don't know if it's just my makeup or what it is that I can't really understand that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I want you to tell me the truth.
Yeah.
If it hurt my feelings, whatever the case may be, I can deal with it.
Yeah.
But then I can get myself in a position to where I need to be to deal with it, to move forward from there, to move accordingly.
Yeah.
But if you're lying to me, then how do I prepare? I can't prepare because I'm dealing with a lie. Yeah, bro. It's cold, bro. And it's people that really they'll make you their enemy for telling them the truth.
Oh yeah. And then people,
and I think that's being a friend. I'm thinking I'm being a friend.
That's really what friendship actually is, truth telling. But there are people who become unknowingly become your enemy based on something that somebody else has said. And when I grew up in Lakeside and Queensboro, bro, that was a dangerous thing to go around lying on people. I mean, you get hurt like that. But now it's just like commonplace. And so you gotta stay above that, and you just gotta just keep doing the work, and let the chips fall where they may, because again, they got some of these people down here, and we don't. I mean, you might have every now and then one white pawn that'll come down here to work in this mix, but it's not gonna be a wholesale. A lot of them. Mm-hmm. This is the game, and so this is why this is very easy to talk. For me to talk about ethnicity, race, the game of chess, Monopoly, dominoes, Ping Pong, because I understand the fundamental aspect of what we're dealing with. And it's irrefutable. It's irrefutable. They can be mad about it, but it's irrefutable. Yeah.
So let me ask you, because we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
But, I want you back, because I want this really to be a regular thing, because I think it's very the citizens of Shreveport will benefit a lot from hearing dialogue from Brother Craig Lee. Mm-hmm. Why you call it the $1 billion plan?
So when I left corporate, I knew that the Creator had blessed me to come up with a multi-billion-dollar concept that could transform Shreveport. And I understand that you can't do that business first. You got to do industry first. So before I left Atlanta to relocate here, I was looking at what Shreveport was trying to position itself to do. They were trying to get into sports tourism with the CFL football team. I knew that wasn't gonna work. They tried to get a CBA basketball team. I knew that wasn't gonna work. Then hockey, I knew that wasn't gonna work. So I started asking myself, what is it that we do in Shreveport that no other city makes claim to that we can promote on an international level and bring millions of people into the city? I said, we play dominoes. So that's when I started working on my plan. Initially, it was just focused on being a world championship dominoes competition, but then I grew it into an economic development. So now as I grew it into economic development, I had to really study African-American tourism, or AKA Black tourism, from a leisure travel perspective and a conference and convention perspective. When I first started back in '94, the industry, African-American tourism overall, was a $70 billion a year industry. So I came up with a nice game plan that Shreveport, I would position Shreveport to capture 2% of that market. At that time would have been $1.4 billion. Okay, coming into Shreveport, Caddo, Bossier Parish, and a surrounding 100-mile radius, because I knew we didn't have enough hotels and restaurants and whatnot to accommodate the influx of tourists. So we had to build hospitality tourism infrastructure. That means hotels, restaurants, travel. All this is a part of a very elaborate industry that's over $1 trillion worldwide. And so I began doing that. Well, fast forward, have always had the plan in place. Well, now, as 50 Cent has come in, and they are part of the same deal with a caveat of film and television, now that 70 billion has grown, and it's for all African-American tourism, leisure travel, and convention and conference travel, to $145 billion. It is more than doubled in size, and it's the fastest growing segment of any part of tourism. Now let me prove the point. Just a few weeks ago, we had who in town? The AKA Regional Convention. The Regional Convention, we had them in town. 6,000 plus sisters. They had all of the hotels in Shreveport booked. That's how you make money for your city.
Nice looking sisters.
Yeah, hotel, motel, tax revenues, restaurants, malls, gas, all of these things were being purchased. And I love what Tari Bradford said. She says, we wear pink, but we spend green.
Yeah, I seen that.
And so just imagine, you get the Kappas, the Omegas, you get the Masons, you get the church tourists with their conventions and conferences. You get people coming for the Grambling. Last year they had Grambling and Langston, Oklahoma, University of Langston. They played here. Those are tourism dollars, right? So now I said, hey, we can go after, with 50 cents, we can go after 6% of that $145 billion a year industry. And Robert, that would mean 6% now. That would mean over $8 billion a year. I think it's $8.5 billion a year coming into Shreveport, Caddo, Bossier Parish, and the surrounding 100-mile radius. So now, how would Black businesses benefit? We don't own the hotels, we don't own the gas stations, all of that. So I approximate 70% of that money is gonna go to white corporations, Middle Eastern, Latino, whatever, Asian. But 30% is still significant. 30% of that $8 billion is almost $3 billion per year. Now we're in a position to create over 100 millionaires. So that's the fundamental aspect. That's number one. Number two, I-49. I-49 is the governor's on board finally, but this was supposed to have been done through Lakeside Allendale years ago, but they bypassed, powers that be, bypassed Allendale Lakeside because there were more African-American property owners in Lakeside Allendale than in North Shreveport. So now what ends up happening, they do the connector from 220 to North Market, that three and a half mile stretch. So now if y'all have never been, get on I-49 at 220, right there at the Cooper Road, and just drive it up to the North Market exit. And Robert, once you take the exit for North Market, you're gonna see a Love's truck stop. Then when you make that left and go up a couple of blocks, you're gonna see Walmart, you're gonna see banks. That's economic development. Well, whenever an interstate comes through an area, they have these funds called mitigation funds that helps where property is displaced, buildings displaced. It helps to stimulate economic development. That's how South Shreveport became South Shreveport. Over $300 million of mitigation money was invested into that area. So they put 50 to 100 million in the North Shreveport area. Those are the type of dollars that's gonna be able to come through Lakeside Allendale downtown because of the interstate, right? And then we got Amtrak, we got just a plethora of different things that now we can create, not the 1.2 billion, 1.4 billion that I was looking at back in the early 90s. Now we're talking about potentially $4 billion for Black business owners that can come through based on these particular things. So that's how I created the concept of the Port City $1 billion blueprint. Because I understand the capitalistic game that we're in, how we got to strategically position ourselves within this economic and political system and game.
And that is District B?
District B, baby. District B. And I fought over the years for Amway. And ironically, just before I came here today, the announcement was made with the Cattle Parish Commission. Wow. And let me show you guys this. Stop always jumping on something to connect it to streets and drainage and stuff like that. A lot of people were mad when they announced Southeast Shreveport, white folks out there wanted pickleball. Pickleball. So I thought about it, I said, wait a minute. There's an opportunity here. So I say, I'm not gonna be against it. I'm gonna advocate indirectly for it. I don't care about no pickleball. But I knew this, if they get pickleball, then my project that I wanna see can go up, which is a multi-purpose sportsplex that I would like to see on the fairgrounds where they tore down the baseball field. I made the presentation last year. I look online, my good partner, shout out to Erica Bryant, administrator for the parish of Caddo. The announcement was made. They're gonna look to get a general obligations bond to do a $70 million multi-purpose complex. Sometimes you have to understand the game in order to gain leverage. And so you talk about a multi-purpose sportsplex. I advocated for the convention center, the Amtrak. I mean, we got, Shreveport is a gold mine. And for people who want to get in this game and learn, come and get on the board. Community development, the dollar program, if you got a house, you can, and a vacant lot next to you, take care of that property. You can get that property for $1. But this is where you guys are gonna go, just like my nonprofit. Y'all are gonna get into housing to provide affordable housing to some of our people. We gotta get people involved, because the mayor told me this past Monday, at our first political forum in Stony Hill, shout out to Sister Rachel over there in Stony Hill, bro, we're talking like almost 8,000 adjudicated properties.
Mm-hmm.
So 50 can't do it all by himself. He's the catalyst that is bringing the international attention, but we gotta get people in the game of economics so that they can now make things happen, so we can grow our population from under 190,000 to over 500,000 over the next 30 years, so we can bring airfares down, so we can expand our tourism industry, so we can bring in over $8 billion into our market.
So let me ask you one more question.
Mm-hmm.
If you on the council,
Mm-hmm.
how, because we're talking about growing the population, we're talking about pickleball going to South Shreveport,
Mm-hmm.
and South Shreveport becoming such a integral part of Shreveport so fast.
Mm-hmm.
How would you, because I've heard talks of this, how would you deter South Shreveport from de-annexing from this city?
My whole thing is, if they want to de-annex, they can de-annex by cutting a check to us for $10 billion. Yeah, over a period of time.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, you trust me. Listen, man, what they're trying to do is what you see being done down in the Baton Rouge area with St. George's. So what we have to do is position ourselves for the inevitable, and now put a price tag on their using our infrastructure to advance their agenda. So, I mean, let's negotiate. My price tag is $10 billion.
Mm.
You repay $10 billion. Y'all can de-annex all y'all want to. Because that's what the whole thing is, to use the water, use the funds from the city to build up their infrastructure and then bounce. Well, my thing is, no, we need to sue you. If y'all don't want to cut a legitimate deal, we need to sue you for those particular individuals that's trying to do it. But that's why voting is so important, because they were able to get that done through a majority Republican legislature and governor. So that's why you got to make sure that you're in position locally and at the state level to make sure that even if we approve their de-annexation, that they got to pay a toll fee. Yeah, I don't mind you de-annexing if you're going to pay a toll fee. I was in Dallas a few weeks ago, and I opened my damn mail. Robert, guess what I got?
Toll fee.
Hey.
Yeah.
They didn't mind that I went back to Shreveport.
Mm-hmm.
We gonna tax you.
Yeah.
You come on our roads, you gotta pay a fee.
Mm-hmm.
Same with them. That's how I look at them. Yeah.
Anything else that you want to tell my audience before?
Hey man, this has been great. Y'all keep tuning in to Robert's support. Robert, he is a passionate brother who is learning. He's in the game. And hopefully y'all go back and look at this video so you can see. Let me see that puzzle, Brother Robert. Let me get the puzzle first. Learn. The creator set the whole thing in motion. with this whole matrix. It's all a puzzle, right? Inside of the puzzle, what's controlling the world is the capitalistic game and system of white supremacy, racism, and they play it through this game here, Monopoly. The strategy and tactics are laid out in the game of chess, and within dominoes, this is what gives us a chance. But you gotta master this, and we gotta avoid being a ping pong ball by the Democratic and Republican parties. And we have to embrace an independent agenda so that we can now get mobilized, organized, educated, activated, so that we can take over the governmental politics, the governmental political infrastructure for Shreveport, Caddo, so we can create a prototype for grassroots empowerment, especially grassroots Black empowerment. But we want to show grassroots European descendants, Latinos, Asians, how to rock and roll as well, because everybody needs to have a seat at the table. The majority will prevail, but every ethnic group at the grassroots level still need to be able to eat. We grow the pie. We grow the pie to billions of dollars. Everybody can get a slice. How many of y'all, I don't know how many of you all eat pizza at Sam's. If you ate a pizza out at Sam's, wholesale, they pizzas like big. And they only like $2 and something.
Yeah.
One slice is just $2. We grow the pie. We grow the pizza. So each ethnic group that's a part of the territory that we control gets their piece of the pie. That's my job. So once I'm elected, man, this thing about to go to a whole nother level. And I appreciate Robert for giving me a chance to expound upon it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. This won't be the last time.